All right, folks. First of all, good afternoon to the folks in India, and if at all you're coming from Europe, good morning, and for the rest of the time zones, welcome all. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy schedule to be a part of this one-day virtual event. So my session today is going to be on how to get your enterprise ready for Microsoft 365 Copilot. I'm pretty sure earlier today there was a session. There was a session on this topic. It was more of a technical overview of Microsoft 365 Copilot. But in this session, I'll try to talk more around how to get your enterprise ready. Of course, I'll be talking about Copilot itself, and then I'll be talking in detail about how to get your enterprise ready for M365 Copilot. All right, let's get started. First of all, a massive thanks to our sponsors, Binary Roots, because I've personally been organizing a lot of events and I know what it takes to organize an event, right? So without a sponsor, it's definitely not possible. So thank you so much, Binary Roots, for doing that, and also the organizers, Pune Tech community. And in terms of the goodies today, so today is just not about you learning alone. It's just not about learning and networking. You also get a chance to win some exciting Amazon gift vouchers, which is worth 500 rupees. And there are 8 such gift vouchers. So please make sure that you pay attention to the session and do whatever it takes to win these gift vouchers. So that's a little bit about, that's not a little bit, in fact, that's a lot about myself. So my name is Vignesh Ganesan. I'm an enterprise architect and a technology strategist. I focus more around strategy, design, and enterprise architecture in my current role. So I'm a dual Microsoft MVP. I hold the MVP award in M365 apps and services and also in Microsoft security. So in my current role, as I said, I focus more around enterprise architecture. Although I don't blog a lot of late, there was a point in time where I used to blog like crazy. I used to blog on Vignesh SharePoint Thoughts, European SharePoint Community, C# Corner, and a lot of other blog sites. Of late, I speak in a lot of webinars, user groups, and conferences across the globe. I've written more than 500 plus technical articles. So as I said, there was a point in time where I used to write a lot, but not anymore. I'm also an ambassador for the AMS community. I enjoy doing a lot of certifications. I've done more than 20 plus Microsoft certifications. So I'm the founder and chief organizer of the Microsoft 365 Power Platform and Cloud Security India user group. And also some of the events that we do there is the India Cloud Security Summit, the Microsoft Purview Days, Microsoft Viva Days, and a few more events. So with that, let's get started. So today I have a very interesting agenda. So I'll begin by talking about what is Microsoft 365 Copilot, a general introduction to the Copilot capability, and also all the goodness that goes along with that. Then I'll be showing a video on the Copilot system and also the semantic index, because a lot of you might be interested to know what really happens behind the hoods. How does Microsoft bring all this data together, right? So that's how the Copilot system and semantic index comes together. And in terms of demo, unfortunately, I can't go ahead and demo all the capabilities because the Copilot capability, which I currently have, is in my production environment, and I want to be really, really careful. I do not want to go ahead and show any production data there. So I hope you'll all respect that. In fact, the idea was to show some demos, but then I wanted to make sure that there is no production data being shown in webinars. So I'm going to show you some demo videos. Then we'll also be talking about the Microsoft 365 Copilot EAP, which is nothing but the early access program, and also the licensing. I'm pretty sure there were a lot of questions around licensing, how to purchase it, how to get started with that. So maybe for the M365 Copilot, the EAP and the licensing will give you some good insights on that. And also the core meat of today's presentation, which is how to get your enterprise ready for Microsoft 365 Copilot. So that I'll be talking about how to get it, how to do the technical readiness, and also how to prepare your org, meaning the end users, and how to get started. So we have some good insights to share, something which I practice in my organization, and I want to share that with you so that you could recycle and use it in your role. And finally, we'll talk about some next steps and some useful resources. So I hope that sets the tone. So let's get started. Quickly, a very quick disclaimer. So as of today, the Microsoft 365 Copilot capability is an early access program. And whatever you're hearing from me today may or may not be the final. So don't take my word for whatever it is, right? So it's still in EAP. A lot of things might change. Some of them may be the final version of the product, but a lot of things might change. So this is just to talk about how the product stands as of today, right? And then since the product is in EAP, there is only a certain amount of detail that I can talk about. I don't want to go around and keep spilling the beans there. So I hope you respect that as well. All right, so introducing Microsoft 365 Copilot. So the first and very important thing which I want to really press upon is a lot of time when I see presentations from specifically from Microsoft folks for a lot of people, they keep referring to Copilot as magic, magic, magic. And that tends to really concern me. See, there is no magic here, right? It's Copilot, it's not autopilot, right? Maybe if it was called as autopilot, maybe the terminology magic would have made some sense. But if you look at autopilot, it's AI doing the job for you, right? If you look at Copilot, AI is simply assisting you. So please get that, please make sure that you're understanding the product right. It's Copilot, it's not autopilot. So whatever data you give, that's what the AI engine is going to process, and it is going to help you as you do your work, right? It's not going to do everything for you. At the end of the day, whatever it generates, whatever it gives for you, you have to make sure that you're going to go through it, you review it, you make sure that everything is correct, and only then it becomes production ready. So please be mindful of that. And speaking about the Copilot product itself, these are the three main components which comes into it, right? The first thing is your large language models. So Copilot is just simply not about ChatGPT integrated with your Microsoft 365. That's just not the case, right? So you have the large language models, which is nothing but an AI component, which is meant to process large amount of data. Then you also have your Microsoft Graph. Pretty much everybody understands what Microsoft Graph is. That's basically your data, all your emails, all your OneDrive content, the SharePoint files that you worked with, and also the permissions that you've set around it. That's what goes into your Microsoft Graph. And finally, you have your Microsoft 365 apps. So these are the apps that you would work on a day-to-day basis. It could be Teams, Outlook, PowerPoint, Word, whatever, right? And with all this, you would be in. So all this put together is what forms the Microsoft 365 Copilot. And you would be interacting with this using the natural language, like any other normal way that you would interact, right? So how was my Teams meeting yesterday? How did this call go yesterday? So those kind of natural language is what you would give. And these three things all come together, they process it, and they give you whatever response you asked it. So maybe when you're seeing the demo videos in action, it will make a lot more sense to you. Now, speaking of this Copilot itself, there are two ways that you can interact with this product. The very first thing is it is embedded across your Microsoft 365 apps. And I want to be very cautious there. As of today, the Copilot is available on Word. Excel, yes, Microsoft has said it, but it's still not there. It's still yet to come. You might see some demo videos where they talk about Excel, but as of today, Excel still doesn't have the Copilot add-in. PowerPoint has it. Yes, the Teams Outlook has it, and also the Teams client, the Teams desktop client also has it. So it's embedded across all the M365 apps. This is step number one. And there is other way also you can interact with Microsoft 365 Copilot. This is nothing but the business chat, which is nothing but that is a Copilot app, which is currently in preview. This app is specifically meant only for your teams. So that is also one way through which you can interact with your Microsoft 365 Copilot. So please keep this in mind. As of today, it's just the Microsoft apps, and that too the ones which I've just shown you. And then you also have the Copilot Teams app, which is currently in preview. Okay. And the other thing which I want to show you is, well, how does this access all my content, right? So as of today, the Copilot app, it has access to all your business content and also context. So that's really key there. So when I say content, as I said, it has the ability to look into your Teams meeting, your mails content, your chat conversations, your files, the people you closely work with, right? And also under what context you're asking it, right? So when I'm showing you a demo, the word context will make a lot more sense, because today Copilot is simply not about, if at all you're typing a query saying, give me the sales report for March, right? It's simply not going to look for the keyword which says sales report for March and give you all those details. It's much more intelligent this time. It looks as who's the person who's asking it, right? What's his job role? What's his thing? And based on that, it generates more personalized research, which is more focused towards you rather than giving something which just has the keyword, right? As I said in the demo, you can see that for yourself. And finally, similar to any other product. So Microsoft 365 Copilot is built on top of Microsoft's comprehensive approach towards security, compliance, privacy, and responsible AI. So a lot of concerns in the previous session, I saw people asking a lot about security. Yes, I do understand your concern, because anything new which comes out there, it's very important that you make sure that security is not compromised. So in that aspect, yes, security is taken care of. It's similar to any other product in Microsoft 365, similar to your Teams, similar to your Microsoft Apps for Enterprise. So you don't need to worry about that. Compliance, yes. You talk about GDPR, you talk about all the compliance rules out there. Yes, it's compliant with all that. Then even your privacy is taken care of. There is no PII information which is going to be shown out there. So and of course there are ways for you to control that as well. And also responsible AI, which means AI for good. You don't, because AI could be used for a lot of bad things also. But this Microsoft makes sure that they respect the boundaries of responsible AI. So all these things goes together, and that's how the Microsoft 365 Copilot product is built. So if your question is, hey, is the product already enterprise ready? Yes, it is enterprise ready. Is that something that I need to do to make sure that my tenant is enabled for Copilot? The answer is yes. There are certain things that you need to do. And when I'm talking about, maybe in my presentation, as I move further, I'll be talking in detail about that. Yeah. Now, before I go further, I just want to see if there are any questions in this early on. If you want, you can just put it in the chat. Okay, I assume no questions yet. So fine, let me keep moving on. So the next thing which I want to show you is the Copilot system. Now that you have a decent understanding of what Microsoft 365 Copilot is, what are the different components that forms the Microsoft 365 Copilot, let's try to understand what happens under the hoods. Let's try to understand a little bit more about the architecture, the backend architecture of Copilot, and how it processes all the information. For that, let me go ahead and play the video here.
Microsoft 365 Copilot is powered by what we call the Copilot system, a sophisticated processing and orchestration engine. It harnesses the power of three foundational technologies: the Microsoft 365 apps, that's Word, Excel, PowerPoint, Outlook, Teams, and more. The Microsoft Graph, that's all your content and context, your emails, files, meetings, chats, and calendar. And a large language model, or LLM, a creative engine capable of parsing and producing human-readable text. All accessible through natural language. It starts with a prompt from you in an app. Copilot pre-processes the prompt through an approach called grounding. Put simply, grounding improves the quality of the prompt, so you get answers that are relevant and actionable. One of the most important parts of grounding is making a call to the Microsoft Graph to retrieve your business content and context. Copilot combines this user data from the graph with other inputs to improve the prompt. It then sends that modified prompt to the LLM. You may be familiar with what an LLM can do based on your experience with ChatGPT or Bing Chat. Copilot takes the response from the LLM and post-processes it. This post-processing includes additional grounding calls to the graph, responsible AI checks, security, compliance and privacy reviews, and command generation. Finally, Copilot sends a response to the user and commands back to the apps. Copilot iteratively processes and orchestrates these sophisticated services to produce a result that feels like magic.
All right, so that was about how Copilot, what really happens under the hoods when you execute a query, how it processes it, right? And so that's what the Copilot system video spoke about. Now, the next thing which I want to show you is something called as the semantic index. As the name itself says, right? So it's an index where all the data that you keep inside your system, it keeps indexing all that, because just think about this at a very high level, right? Because you just ask a query, it has to quickly go through and process everything and give you all the information that you need within fraction of seconds or minutes. Not minutes, I would say just fraction of seconds. So there should be some sort of index that it can refer to and give you all this information. So that's where the semantic index comes into picture. So I'm just going to play a small video about what the semantic index is and how it helps Copilot to generate all the results.
Semantic Index for Copilot creates a sophisticated map of your personal and company data, identifying relationships and making important connections. In fact, your brain works like a semantic index by encoding multiple words and pictures to create a larger conceptual map of information. For example, a semantic map of what the average person knows about elephants would include things like elephants have trunks, and elephants travel in herds, and elephants live in Africa. Today, people are mostly familiar with keyword search, which relies on exact words and phrases. So, when you search for March sales report, you get a list of documents that include exactly those 3 words. But a semantic index understands that sales reports are produced by Kelly on the finance team and published each month as an Excel file. And it encodes all of these concepts and relationships between concepts in vectors in the index. Semantic Index for Copilot analyzes your data. That's all your emails, documents, calendar, chats, and more in the Microsoft Graph, and uses a large language model, or LLM, to map all your content and the relationships between your content and you, searching through billions of vectors to find the most relevant results in milliseconds. It's what enables Microsoft 365 Copilot to deliver personalized, relevant, and actionable responses, and do so in a secure, compliant, privacy-preserving way. Semantic Index for Copilot enables every organization to be AI ready.
Yeah, so that's about semantic index. If you could just recapitulate just a couple of slides back, I was talking about search is just not more content driven, it's more context driven also. So that's the power of semantic index, because based on your search, it understands who's performing the search, it puts some intelligence to it. It's just not throwing the results based on the keyword that you're given that, there is more context involved to it, right? And the other concern that might come to you is, what about security? Because that's what I clearly said, right? So it is built on top of all the apps. It has Microsoft Graph. So Microsoft Graph is where all your data, all the security things, all the permissions, everything that you have set, it all lives in there. So at render time, whatever data you're going to see, it makes sure that it renders only the information to which you have access. You won't be seeing something to which you do not have access, right? So you don't need to worry about that. So with that, let's look at the features which are currently available in the early access program. So as of today, the Microsoft 365 Copilot is available across Microsoft 365 apps. And to be very specific, it's not for all Microsoft 365 apps. Today, it's available in your Microsoft Word. Yes, both the web app and also the desktop app. The same goes for PowerPoint also. The web app and desktop app also has it. The web app version, of course, it's always going to be an up-to-date version. So as Microsoft pushes it, you'll start seeing this. As long as you're licensed, as long as your tenant is enabled for it, yes, you'll start seeing the Copilot add-in there. But for the desktop app to show the Copilot add-in, that is a certain amount of readiness which has to be done. Only then you'll be seeing the add-in, the M365 Copilot, add-in for the desktop app. And I'll talk in detail about what you need to do during getting your enterprise ready section. Yeah. Copilot in Excel. So as of today, neither the web app nor the desktop app has it. Copilot in Outlook, yes, both the web app and desktop app has it. For that, you need the new Outlook. I'll be very honest with you. I just hate the look of the new Outlook. I don't know about I don't know how you feel about it, but then I just can't stand that new UI. So if at all you want to take advantage of Copilot in Outlook, then you need to make sure that you're on the new UI. Then you also have Copilot in Teams. Of course, as I said, the Teams client and desktop on the web app also has it. And if at all you're using Loop, right? So Loop is really cool. I was once a heavy OneNote user, but after I started working on Loop, I pretty much love it. So even in Microsoft Loop also, you can make use of the Copilot functionality. You just need to use the / command, and then the Copilot thing will start showing up. And the demo video, you'll be seeing that. The cross-app intelligence in Copilot, yes, the Teams app, which I spoke about, then also the intelligent search, and also some Power Platform connector plugins also. So these are all the features during the early access program. So the keyword that is in the early access program, these are the features which are available, and these things might change. Maybe next month, something else also might be added into this, right? So since it's an early access program, this is all going to change very rapidly. I'll just see if there are any questions so far. Not yet. Okay, I'll keep moving on. So now I just want to play some demo videos. Let's look at the functionality of Copilot across all these different apps, across Word, PowerPoint, Excel, Teams, what it can do for you in Teams meeting, Power Platform, and so on and so forth. So the first thing which I want to show you is how Copilot is going to help you to unleash your creativity, right? So because if you look at the apps, right, your apps such as Word and PowerPoint and Excel, these are the ones which are going to help you to be more creative. So let's see how your Copilot can help you there.
You need to create a customer proposal and don't have time for writer's block. Copilot can draft a proposal based on your customer notes in OneNote, as well as another internal document. Copilot scans the target files and gets to work, quickly generating a first draft with all the key details from the files you provided. Now let's say you want this to look like one of your previous proposals. Copilot can give you a draft in the format you typically use by specifying a reference file, and it can also insert relevant images from another file. To add the final polish, Copilot can generate a short summary at the top of your document and also suggest ways to strengthen your proposal, with options such as adding an FAQ, which it will generate for you as a starting point for you to refine and add to. Copilot has taken a tedious task, simplified it, and freed you to focus on the details that matter most.
All right, so that's what Copilot can do in Word for you, just with a quick prompt. You could see that what it could do for you just within seconds. That's Copilot in action for you on Microsoft Word. So let's look at what Copilot can do for you in PowerPoint.
Everyone has had a moment when they wish that they could turn their proposal into a customer-ready presentation without having to start from scratch. Now you can. Using just your own words, Copilot can translate Word into PowerPoint. Now you have a professional-looking presentation that you can hone and polish. Let's say you want to add a slide. Give Copilot some quick instructions and it immediately generates it for you. There it goes. Copilot doesn't always get everything right, so it's important to verify you are happy with it and make any edits that are needed. So this slide is too wordy. You can ask Copilot to make it more visual, which it does effortlessly. And check this out, Copilot can even animate the slide. It gives it a professional design treatment in a single click. But it doesn't stop there. Copilot automatically generates speaker notes for all your slides. It's not only a time saver, it's helping you be a better presenter.
So that's Copilot for you on PowerPoint. Then let's look at what Copilot can do for you in Excel. This particular video clipping, it doesn't have an audio, but I can just talk through what exactly it does. This is basically a performance sheet, the Q1 performance sheet. So you go to Copilot and that is a question which is prompted. Let's see that. So in Copilot, we're asking analyze this quarter business results and summarize key trends. It's giving the key trends. Breakdown of a particular customer. And you get to keep that. And the next question that you want to ask is, that is a decline in sales growth. So you want to understand what contributed to that. Yeah, so that you can differentiate. It's applying a different color for that. Yeah. Yeah, so that's Copilot for you in Excel. And if you look at this very simple thing, and if you're a heavy Excel user, somebody who works on the sales side of the organization, creating something like this, analyzing it could just take you days or hours for you to get into this level of information. And Copilot just did it for you within few clicks. And as always, as I said in the beginning, whatever information Copilot is generating for you, don't take it as final. Always make sure that you verify it, you understand it, because sometimes it might be just giving something which is completely irrelevant. After all, it's an AI engine which is doing all this, right? So please make sure that you go through all this information and make sure that whatever is given there is the right information. So next, let's look at how Copilot can help you to unlock your productivity. Of course, today, if you look at productivity apps such as your Outlook, your Teams, these are the ones which you would heavily rely upon for your productivity. So let's see how Copilot can help you there. For that, I'm just going to show you how Copilot works in Outlook. There's a video clipping on that.
We all struggle with the pull of the inbox. Sometimes it keeps us from focusing on our most important work. But at the same time, you have important emails to respond to. Copilot can help you separate the signal from the noise and give you hours of time back. Copilot can help you triage your inbox, highlighting the most important emails to prioritize. And Copilot also helps you on the go in Outlook Mobile. It can summarize long email threads. You can draft a reply, use data from an Excel file, and Copilot will generate a reply for you. You can edit it. You can make it more concise, change the writing style, or add more context. Now all that's left to do is review the proposed response and hit send. It's a productivity game changer.
That's Copilot in Outlook for you. Then let's look at what it does in Teams meetings. My favorite part is the Teams meeting in Copilot. It's just so amazing to see it there.
Imagine you have an appointment that conflicts with your weekly business review. What if you could do both? With Copilot, you can opt to follow a meeting. After the meeting ends, Copilot will summarize what you missed. You'll get a notification in Teams when the recap is ready. This recap will highlight content that was shared, summarize notes, and any action items for you or others whose names were mentioned. You see that one of your customers was discussed, and you want to learn more. You can ask Copilot clarifying questions, and it provides a detailed response. It can tell you why a certain decision was made, and gives you helpful context. You can even ask Copilot what other solutions were considered, and it provides citations from the transcript so you can see where Copilot drew these conclusions. It's a huge time saver. So that was pretty cool. But the real magic of Copilot happens during a live meeting. Let's say you're in a meeting with your team. You can ask Copilot to summarize the meeting so far. You can see how it summarizes who said what points were made, and it's really capturing the spirit of the discussion. And as the meeting progresses, you can check in on where people stand. You can even ask Copilot what questions are unresolved. It's just amazing to see this happen in real time during a meeting.
Yeah, so that's Copilot in Teams meeting. Then let's look at Copilot in Teams chat and in Microsoft Loop.
Copilot can help you stay on top of it all, summarizing Teams chat so you quickly see what you missed. Here you were asked for an update on the customer, and Copilot can help there too. You can simply ask Copilot to create a summary of all the customer conversations. It produces a summary with citations so that you can verify the details, refine it as needed, and post your update. You just received an invitation to brainstorm in a Loop workspace. Loop is a multiplayer collaboration canvas with Copilot as an AI peer along with everyone else. Here the team is collaborating in real time on product offers and pricing, adding notes and action items to keep everyone on track and up to date. You can ask Copilot to create a dataset from Excel on the top-selling products by category, and it will analyze and fetch the relevant data and compile it in a table. Since this is a Loop component, another member of your team can jump in and add a column for proposed discounts. Copilot even populates the data based on the specific instruction. Anyone can prompt Copilot to build on each other's ideas collaboratively, so that everyone can see from the prompt history how it arrived at the current state, with the option of undoing any instruction. Now you can close out the action item and get ready to meet with a customer.
Yeah, so that's Copilot in Teams chat and Loop. Next is Copilot in Power Automate. Let's see what Copilot can do in Power Automate.
At work, we all have unique tasks that we wish could be automated. And we have incredible automation tools with Power Automate that are available to everyone, not just developers. In this example, you've made the pitch, you've won the business, and now you need to deliver and be there for your customer. You want to be notified whenever there's an urgent support issue for your accounts. And you want to create a collaborative space for the account team to solve the issue together. With Copilot in Power Automate, you can automate both these things in minutes, using your own words. As you review the suggested flow, it's looking good. With a little more direction, Copilot can help write a summary of the problem, post that summary in the appropriate Teams channel, and tag the right colleagues to resolve the issue. This now gets seamlessly added to my workflow. getting it just the way I want it. Here you can see it in action, with your post in a Teams channel and the full team ready to jump in and resolve a delayed delivery for your customer. This is an awesome time saver for every customer from now on, and you built it in just a few minutes.
Yeah, with just a few clicks, an entire Power Automate was created. Now let's look at Copilot in the context of how it can help you to up-level your skills. So last demo, let's look at client meetings in a business chat. Let's see what Copilot can do there.
Introducing Business Chat, which can be accessed from Microsoft365.com, from Bing, or from right in Teams. Let's start with how it can help you prepare for a client meeting. You start by asking Copilot to summarize all your recent customer interactions, meetings, content you've shared, any issues and deliverables. Copilot works across your calendar, emails, chats, documents, and meetings to find all the pertinent information. It takes a moment to generate a response, and now you've got a concise summary, complete with citations and sources. You can hover over names to see their details, view quotes to validate where comments were discovered, and source files to verify information or find out more. Now you know product lead times are likely to come up, so you ask Copilot to help you prepare all the details. Copilot then combs through your documents, meetings, emails, PowerPoint files, and company resources to generate a thorough response. Copilot synthesizes everything you need so you can feel prepared for your meeting, saving you lots of time pulling this all together.
So the next is the strategy in a business chat.
If you're working on your business strategy, you need to be able to pull together a bunch of information, and it could take you hours to find it all. Copilot can help you do that quickly with natural language. For example, you ask Copilot to pull up quarterly projections from an Excel sheet and identify any related risks. It scans through your Excel file and quickly produces a summary of the pertinent projections, and also interprets key risks associated with the data. Now, you ask it to generate a SWOT analysis based on this information. Copilot creates a loop component and categorizes the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats in a single view so you can see what to prioritize. You can also share this component to collaborate with other colleagues. You notice one of the items is incorrect, so you can jump right in and change it. That looks good, so you ask Copilot to turn this SWOT analysis into a new slide for your upcoming executive review. Now it's creating and adding the slide. And then it gives you a preview so that you have confidence that the change was made and you can further refine it in PowerPoint.
Final one is status update on a business chat once again.
Whenever you need to update your team on developments from various events or meetings, Copilot can help with that too, ensuring that critical information keeps flowing. You start by requesting a summary of 2 meetings from earlier in the day. Copilot combs through your meeting transcripts and generates a draft that updates the team on critical decisions to keep everyone moving forward. Copilot provides citations to show you where the information came from. You can hover over them to get more detail. You spot some key information that Copilot missed that you think is important to share with the team. So you ask Copilot to add it. It scans through the meeting transcripts and regenerates the response to include the extra details. With your meeting recap ready, it's time to share. You jump to the Teams channel where you can refine your update and then share with the team. Copilot is a game changer for saving you time and helping you stay focused on what's most important.
Yeah, so those are some demo videos, and now you would understand, as after seeing these videos, why I wasn't able to demo these capabilities, because I would anyway end up showing all my corporate details, and I just simply can't do that. But this is M365 Copilot for you in action across all Microsoft 365 apps. Now let's jump in and talk about the how to get this product, right? So as of today, there is something called as the early access program. This is not something new. This was there in the past for other capabilities, for some other functionalities also. So as of today, this is specific to Microsoft 365 Copilot. I can't speak for other Copilot capabilities from Microsoft, but at least for Microsoft 365 Copilot, this is what it is. It's a invitation only paid preview available for 600 customers. So what this means is if you're interested on this, you have to reach out to your Microsoft account team, tell that, hey, we are interested in being a part of EAP. As of today, the EAP is available only for 600 customers worldwide. So once that is a proper conversation which happens, and once you're okay with that, you would get a invitation, and then the invitation will walk you through the steps that a global admin needs to do to enable this. Yeah. So as of today, the EAP program, it includes about 300 licenses that can be added to any user. But the catch there is you need to make sure that these licenses can be added only for a user who has either M365 E3 or M365 E5. That's really key there. Early in the previous session, there were some questions around licensing. But for Microsoft 365 Copilot, the base license is E3 and E5. On top of that, you need to purchase this Microsoft 365 Copilot as an add-on. So please bear in mind that it doesn't come along with your E5, even though E5 being the highest queue, you don't get it with the E5. This is a separate add-on which needs to be purchased on top of that. And also to make sure that small businesses are not left out, even the business premium and business standard capabilities also can get the Copilot add-on, right? Of course, cancellation is possible, but that should happen within the 7 days of your purchase. After that, there are no refunds possible for that. And in terms of the licenses that you purchase, let's say you got 300 licenses and you have multiple tenants in your organization, right? You have a dev tenant, you have a test tenant, and then you can't just split those licenses for different tenants. That's not possible. Whatever you get remains within that tenant only. So please be mindful of that. And during the EAP, the release cadence will be faster. Of course, Microsoft 365 being a SaaS service tends to get a lot of updates, and it's just happening a lot, right? And during the EOP, the cadence is just going to be much more faster because a lot of changes will be happening with the product because there is a lot of feedback which is going to Microsoft from the customers, right? So that's why the cadence is going to be fast. And you also get a chance to directly provide feedback to Microsoft during the EAP. Now, speaking of the licensing, to dive more onto it, as of today, it's priced at $30 per user per month. Boy, that's a lot, right? So it's 30 USD per user per month. And as I said in the previous slide, it is an add-on license that can be purchased on top of the following packages. E3, E5 for the enterprise queue. And if you're a small, medium business, then of course the business premium and business standard. So you need to be in any one of those queues to apply M365 Copilot as an add-on. And this is, of course, it's a huge uplift in your licensing cost. And if you want to do the math there, it's a 53% uplift if you're trying to give it for an E5 user. If you're giving it for an E3 user, then there is an 83% uplift. And if you look at business premium and business standard, it's pretty much 2.4x the time or 3.4x the time. So you really need to be cautious. It's a big decision to be made. So think through it, do your calculations, and then you can think of going for it. And as I said in the very beginning, this is all during the EAP. Things might change. I don't know what Microsoft would come up with at a later point, but this is what it stands as of today. Then let's talk about the core meat today, which is about getting your enterprise ready for Microsoft 365 Copilot, right? So, all right, you got the license, you got it figured out. Congratulations, now you have Copilot. So what do I need to do now to get my enterprise ready, right? To get my tenant readiness done, right? So these are some technical prerequisites. First, you need to make sure that your corporate network is aligned with Microsoft 365 network connectivity. And this is the case for any Microsoft 365 service out there. I'm talking about the endpoints, right? In some organizations, you would go to the network administrator would be whitelisting the IPs in the firewall. That used to be the days in the past. But today you have Zscaler proxy and a lot of other intelligent proxies for cloud proxies out there, which can automatically map these endpoints. So, but you need to make sure that those endpoints are properly whitelisted, specifically the endpoints for your M365 Copilot. The next thing is make sure that there is only just enough access, because as I said, as you're searching, a lot of content is going to come through. So you need to make sure that the permissions are taken care of in your tenant. It doesn't matter whether you're running Copilot or not, but as a best practice, you always need to make sure that people have access only to the information that they need to see, right? So just make sure that that's taken care of. Getting your information search ready, that's also very important. So one of the quick tools for you to help that is, I'm just going to quickly show you the admin center here. So you can make use of the Microsoft Purview information protection to make sure that you can roll out the labels for sites which are having sensitive information. Please make sure that the sensitivity label is applied. This is your way to make sure that there is no wrong information being shared, or there is not too much of information being shared. And also, you can always go to the SharePoint Admin Center and look at the permissions or the membership settings for your tenant, right? You can always come here and look at, uh, you know, who are the different members, just in case you want to quick. And this, there is a way for you can also pull out these reports also. Um, you can see whether what is the site privacy, whether it is private or public, and sensitivity. So all these are certain prerequisites that you need to make sure that you're doing before rolling out Copilot widely, right? And if you ask me, it doesn't matter whether you're rolling out Copilot or not. This is something which you have to be doing anyway. Then make sure that you establish a center of excellence. It could be a SharePoint site where you can share all this information about Copilot, what's happening, so that all your users can understand, come and learn about it. If you remember a few slides back, I was talking about the Copilot's availability for different Office apps, right? So if at all you want the Copilot functionality to show up for your desktop app, which is your Word, Excel, or PowerPoint, you need to make sure that you're on the monthly enterprise channel. So here is my desktop app, and I could see the Copilot add-in here. And for this add-in to show up, I need to make sure that I'm on the enterprise on the current channel. If you look at this, I need to be on these are the release preferences for your organization, right? When you're in current channel, as Microsoft rolls out the update, you will get it. If you're on the monthly channel, you'll get it out after a month. Let's say once in a month is when you'll be getting these updates. Then there is something called as a semi-annual enterprise channel. As the name itself says, it's semi-annual. So for Copilot add-in to show up and for Copilot to perfectly work on your Office desktop apps, you need to make sure that you're in the current channel. Only then this is going to work for you, right? When initially the product was released, Microsoft said your monthly channel should do, but later they realized that, well, that's not going to work. And now they documented it clearly saying that you need to be on the current channel. You also need to unblock WebSockets from end user devices. If that's the case, if your organization is doing that, please make sure that you're unblocking the WebSockets to get the complete functionality of Copilot. Yeah, Azure Active Directory based account, of course, that's a given, because if you're using M365, you definitely need an Azure AD account. OneDrive account is needed because all the documents that you generate, Word, PowerPoint, or Excel, everything will get stored inside your OneDrive. So of course, the OneDrive needs to be up and running. New Outlook for Windows, if at all you want to use Copilot inside your Outlook, then of course you need to be on the new Outlook. And I'll be honest, as I said in the beginning, I just completely hate that UI. I just can't stand the look of it. And then you also, for Microsoft Teams and Microsoft Loop, even those are the capabilities where you can use this. So make sure that you're in the right version for that. Yeah, so these are some technical prerequisites. And let's talk about more about around strategy, because it's just not about technical side of things. Sometimes you need to have a proper strategy to be successful. So what I would recommend is put together a proper pilot program if at all you're interested more in rolling out this product, right? So this pilot program document that I'm talking about should have all these pointers mentioned in it and taken care of. So begin with, make sure that you assemble a proper program team. In the program team, you should have people, let's say, of course, the executive sponsor, whomever is the sponsor, then PMs, who is the PM who's going to work in this project, then of course, technical architects, because they are the ones who are going to do all the technical heavy lifting, business analysts, then M365 service owners. For each product, there are going to be service owners, so make sure that they are also part of it. And of course, support engineers as and when required to support on issues, change management folks, because they need to do the job of communicating and tell that this is what is happening, creating posters, flyers, whatever it might be. And also your Microsoft point of contact. As of today, if you're an EAP customer, you would be given a dedicated point of contact from Microsoft, who will be closely working with you to make sure that Copilot is completely running perfectly fine. It's all enabled, and to also ask your questions. Next is define your pilot objectives really very clear. I know that I'm on the top of the hour here, just 5 more minutes. So make sure that you define your pilot objectives very, very clear. And that's very important, which I mean, talk about your KPIs. What exactly am I trying to measure when I roll out the M365 Copilot? Those needs to be really documented very well and captured. And also identify your pilot participants. Most of the time, more than often, we just test products within the technical people and then we say, yeah, we are done with it. And I'm very sorry to say that that's not the right way to do it. So make sure that you're picking participants from different groups. first and foremost, pick people from the security team, because they need to think through from a security standpoint and make sure that this product is, its security is taken care of, right? Then the administrative staff, because of course they tend to do a lot of mail calls and stuff. People who are part of corp communications, finance, because if you look at these are heavy users of Microsoft 365 apps. So you really need them to use the product and tell us how they feel about it, right? IT staff, then legal, sales, marketing, and senior executives also. These are all the different people, different stakeholders, I would say, who have a stake on this. So please make sure that you're picking people from different groups, and only then you can get a proper feedback. And it just doesn't end there. Add additional demographic identifiers also. People with different accessibility needs, right? You need to make sure that they are included. Somebody who has a hearing problem, somewhere who has seeing problems, right? You need to give the product to them and see how they think about the product. It should be more gender biased. Make sure that they're giving it's both male, female, everybody gets to enjoy the product. Also for people who are on individual contributor roles, people manager across different regions, and also based on seniority basis. So what I'm saying here is make sure that there is a good mix of people that in your organization. It's just not about giving it to the millennials, or it's just not about giving it to the technical people and then calling that your pilot is successful. I'm sorry, that's not going to work. Also, make sure that you have proper training program, because this tool is new. A lot of new components are going to come from Microsoft. So make sure that there is a proper training which happens in the organization. As of today, there is no such use cases or any formal training from Microsoft to an EAP customer where Microsoft is going to come and tell, well, these are some use cases. It's just not yet there. As of today, it's all about, well, here's the license, good luck. So it's all about you to make sure that you're coming up with proper trainings. You can work with Microsoft, they can help you, but they do not have any formal use cases yet. Then you also clearly document the pilot implementation plan. You can talk about the schedules, your milestones, what are going to be the risks and mitigations, what is going to be your communication plan, and also the technology setup and support as and when required, right? The next thing which I want to show is, yeah, of course, pilot monitoring and evaluation. And this is just not the case for Copilot only. If you remember, if you go back to Teams, even when Teams was introduced new in the market, this is the exact same methodology which we all followed, right? So make sure that there is proper pilot monitoring and evaluation. Cost estimation and budget. You also need to put together a detailed breakdown of the estimated cost and the proposed budget for the pilot program. SLT engagement and comms plan, because as an organization, everything is a top-down approach, right? Nothing is from a bottom-to-up approach. So make sure that your SLT is heavily engaged. They get to play around with the product, constantly talk to them and understand what they feel about it. Take their feedback very seriously and go back to Microsoft and say, this is what we feel about it. Also have a proper contingency plan. The steps that you need to take as you need to have in case of any unforeseen challenges or failures. Then finally, the post-pilot transition plan. All right, the pilot phase is done. You've been successful with it. Now you want to roll out for the entire organization. So what are you going to do about it? Should it happen in phases? Are you going to do a big bang? How exactly are you going to roll out? So think about that also. And finally, to make sure that this is a huge success, capture your success criteria also. So make sure that whatever plan you're preparing, it talks about all this. If more than this, totally good to it, but make sure that at least these things are captured, and only then you can consider yourself that you've been successful with the rollout. With that, certain next steps, as I said, if you're interested, talk to your Microsoft account manager. As of today, there is no such trial license available for Microsoft 365 Copilot. The only way for you to use it is being a part of the EAP and getting those licenses, right? So have your pilot objectives clearly defined, as I was just talking about, and be mindful that the product is still in EAP and it's not generally available. So please make sure that whether you want to really use it on heavily on environments or on documents where you are very sensitive, I would just play around with the product. I wouldn't heavily use it on something which is going to be customer facing or something like that. So you please, and this is about your maturity. If you want to play around, you want to use it, do it, but you have to be cautious about where exactly you want it and where exactly you just want to get rid of it. So lastly, not everyone in your organization needs a Copilot license. That's a completely different discussion altogether, where we can talk about who in your organization should have a Copilot license and who doesn't need to have one. But Please bear in mind that not everybody in your, let's say if you have 10,000 users, not all the 10,000 people need a Copilot license in the first place, right? And also make use of the Copilot adoption resources, something which Microsoft has just released, but these are not use cases yet. These are just adoption resources. And these are some useful resources which I want to share. Later, when the slide is made available for you, you can go through it and make use of these links. So that's all I have for you folks. And thank you so much. You've been wonderful audiences. So if there are any questions, I can take that now.